The Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Aston Rhoden from Middle Tennessee. Welcome, Coach.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You look like maybe you're down here closer to me in Florida than Tennessee with that background, but either
Ah,
way, we're happy to have you
we're
on with us.
somewhat close. There
Yeah,
you go.
there you go. Well, hey, I appreciate you being on. We're talking here early April. It's kind of the lot of college showcases going on, a lot of recruiting still happening for you guys specifically. You know, where are you? I know 2024 has been a little bit strange with the FAFSA delays and people are maybe on
Yep.
slightly different timelines. So where are you guys right now with your class of 24? How far are you along with 25s? What's that look like for you guys?
Yeah, you know, I would want to say that we're finished with 24, but you just never know. I mean, there's could be a kid that decides that, after the spring they don't want to play anymore. They want to look at different opportunities. I mean, just with the advent of the transfer portal, it's hard to tell when you're actually done, right? But I think for the most part, the 24 is complete. 25 is still a work in progress, and 26 is just identifying kids at the moment. Until the right time that we can actually do what the NCAA allows us to do as far as contacts and communications.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed, just kind of scrolling through on your website, you got kind of a list of 2024 signees at this point. Looks like a mix of domestic and international, a mix of high school and transfers. So kind of when you're approaching a recruiting class, kind of how do all those things balance out between domestic international, between high school and transfers, and what's kind of your mindset when you're looking
It's
at all that stuff?
as cliche as it sounds, it is about a fit for us. And so for the most part, we're always going to look at what we need first, right? Positionally. And then there's certainly an element of we have criterias that and expectations for our current players. Those are no different from our recruits, as best as we can assess of those kids. So there are times where we may be lacking experience, not even necessarily ability, but just experience in a certain position. And that might lead to taking a look at a transfer, right? Or it may be that we we have some young players that are very talented, and maybe we need some young players who can actually grow, right? And they have the time to grow. So a lot of it just depends on the makeup of the roster, the comings and goings of kids. I mean, we don't have a lot of transfers, and so we don't really spend a lot of time in the transfer market. But that's changing just because kids have better opportunities to leave.
Okay. Well, when you're looking at the domestic kind of we'll call it the traditional recruit, right? The high school domestic player. Um, are there specific tournaments that you and your staff like to make sure you're at each year? What are kind of your favorite places to go to see
Yeah, I
players?
mean, we'll do what most everybody does and a little bit more. So we'll do the ECNL events, we'll do the GA events, we'll do the Elite 64 events, we'll do the USYSS events. A lot of it just depends on where the kids are that we're interested, where they're going to be. And in a lot of respects, where we can get the most, bang for our buck. I mean, because we don't have an unlimited budget. So it's about just finding the places that we feel will have kids that fit our profile and then going there. And then of course there's always league games, and high school tournaments and stuff like that. So it depends on proximity as well. Will determine where we go. But we're gonna have a presence at most of the places that we need to have a presence at.
Okay. Well, one of the things that seems to be, more important to coaches in their recruiting process are ID camps. Does that hold true with you guys? Do you have your own ID camps? Do you or your staff work other ID camps? How important are they in your recruiting?
I would say our ID camp is important to us, um, because we we do ours a little bit different. We truly target the kids that we're interested in and the kids that are interested in us. We try to minimize, I would say, a lot of just cold recruiting. I mean, and so our ID camp is we restrict it by numbers and just try to get the kids that we really want to compare into camp. And because they're kids that we're really interested in, we're a little bit selfish. We don't invite any other college coaches to ours, right? It's just ours. And we rarely ever go to other camps as well. We would rather use that time frame to go watch another kid play in a league game.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, whether it's at a camp or at one of these events or any of those kinds of things, you talk about finding the right fit. What is it that kind of makes that right fit? What are you looking for, whether it's an off the field attribute or on the field attributes? What is your kind of hierarchy of things you want in a player?
Well, I mean, we'll spend time assessing pretty much five components. And for us, we call them our buckets. And so we'll look at a fitness bucket, and that is, as we look at a kid, is that is she fit enough to be playing the position that she is playing, because at the high school level, they and the youth level, they don't get necessarily to train every day. So how fit a kid is actually tells you a lot about her discipline and her ability to take ownership of her own development in that component. So there's a fitness component that we look at. There's a form component, which is how well is this kid playing over a series of evaluations, right? When we go see her in event one, is she better in event two? We look at what we call her function, and that is basically, does she understand her positional responsibilities? Because that's a big piece of it. Then we will look at what we call her friendship, and that is the chemistry that she has within her positional block. Because she could be the best player, but if the team doesn't play its best with her, then that's a sign of maybe that's just not a good fit for a team environment. So we look at that, and then we'll look at what we call the fortitude, which is basically mental strength. I mean, how does this kid prepare for games? Because we'll see her warm up, right? How does she manage adversities within games? And, once the game is done, is she all checked out, or is she still engaged with her coaches and the message they're giving her or the team relative to improvements or the results? So we spend a lot of time looking at those, some of which obviously needs a lot more conversation with coaches and with friends, and but those are the qualities that we evaluate our players on every single day. And so those are the qualities we evaluate our recruits on. Because if they're going to join us, we kind of want to make sure we have an idea of where they fit with all of those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk more about the school. You, I think you're one of the longest tenured, probably Division One head coaches out there these days. So, y-
Yeah,
y-
I don't know, Matt, if that makes me old. I don't know if that makes me good. I don't know if that makes me beautiful. I don't know. Or I don't
we're
know if it just makes me coexistent. I don't know.
you know what?
Um,
We're gonna go with all of the above, Coach. But maybe not the old part, because
yeah,
we wouldn't want to say. We'll just say you're experienced, right? That's all. It's
experience.
different. It's
Yeah, that's a
different.
great word.
Well, since you are experienced, especially at Middle Tennessee State, you can give us some insights. What is it about the school that you like? What is it that's kept you there so long? What are some things maybe folks wouldn't know about the school that we wouldn't find on the website?
Well, I mean, we're 30 minutes from Nash Vegas. And of course, I did say Nash Vegas, right? So people think it's Nashville, but once you get here, you're like, oh my gosh. So just in terms of, you know, I can't tell you what the population of my city is here, but it's a big enough city that there's a lot of fulfillment you can get from just staying within the city, but certainly, being able to bounce out to Nashville, which is a 30-minute drive. I mean, this weekend, I mean, the big thing for anybody that's a soccer person should know that Fan Fest for the Premier League is in Nash Vegas this weekend, right? So, so just having access to things like those. Um, the school, I mean, absolutely fantastic place. And when I say that, I'm not saying that with a bias because I've been here. I'm saying that because that's why I've stayed here, right? It's we've got a fantastic president. It's extremely progressive. So there's the weird thing about this campus is you get in it and there's always construction, right? And while it's annoying at times because you kind of have to take different routes to get to the same places, when it's done, you're like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And we ourselves are having a massive amount of changes in athletics in terms of facilities improvement that are scheduled to open in 2025. That just makes it such a progressive school. And then its location. Like I mentioned, you talk about Nashville, but it's just we're the only university in our town, but we're not a college town, which kind of makes it really cool. And so you'll go places and the brand is everywhere, but you'll go some places and it isn't, right? And so there's some things cool about that. Certainly the people, we've had a lot of people that come and go, but you still have, the stable set of individuals who help make this place, a fun and a wonderful place to work. And everybody here, I think one of the things that I know for me is extremely important is the fact that every single person here takes pride in what they do. I mean, so down to the grounds person, they want to make sure that the pitch is in pristine condition for us based on what works for us. Do we want to keep it low and tight because of our speed of play or, and just everyone taking pride and in making sure that we as a university operate at an optimal level, and a level that truly caters to our students and our student athletes. So I think when you look at all of that, it just makes athletics a part of something really special. And if athletics itself can be special and you win the championships that you need to win, then it just makes the entire experience just fantastic. And I think that's a big, gosh, there's so many reasons why I've stayed here, as long as I have. But I think just the sense of fulfillment and knowing that the people around you want you to be successful, I think that's a big thing for me.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Well, let's rewind. Let's go back to October. We'll say you're in the heart of that conference season. Do me a favor, walk me through what a typical week's going to look like for the girls in terms of, winter classes, meals, practice times, game cadence, that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, we train in the mornings. So we'll get up at 7 and we'll get training in. Uh, Depending on the week, the day of the week, we'll add a maintenance session for weights. Everything is within a 7 to 9:30 block. Then after that, the girls will do what they need to do for classes. Some of them will have study hall depending on their classification. It's honestly never about their grades here because the team is extremely strong academically. So it's just more about, can we get some freshmen in to kind of help them with their personal adjustment? So they'll have some study hall. Depending on the day, we'll have what we call functional groups, so it may be the group of strikers, midfielders, defenders, whatever, that will come in, for about a 35-minute technical functional session. Um, and and then that's pretty much the end of their day. On the week where they have a match, obviously game day changes a little bit. We we'll do video on our opponent the morning of the match. I mean, we don't really spend a lot of time worrying about them during the course of the week. We spend time preparing for ourselves during the course of the week and just give the girls a little bit of an insight on match day as to what our opponents, what's or some things that are important for us on that day relative to our opponent. But it's a very standard. Mondays are off typically because we play usually Thursday, Sunday, or we may just play Sunday, or we may just play Thursday. But typically Mondays are off. We'll train Tuesday, depending on the week. If we have to play Thursday, we'll probably travel Wednesday, or we might train if we play at home. A recovery day is typically Friday. Then we're back in some type of work Saturday for another match on Sunday.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let's talk more about the soccer side of things. And this is, I guess, rewinding a little bit back to recruiting, but is there a roster size that you like to hit that you kind of feel is ideal each season?
For me, I like around 26. The last few years we've been at 30, obviously because of, the COVID,
Yeah.
we'll say COVID rule that allows that extra year, but I think that was kind of fairly normal with just about everyone. You start having rosters of 30, 32, because you have fifth years coming back type thing. But I like to keep, if I can, 26, which would include maybe three goalkeepers at times. And sometimes we go to 27. But at the end of the day, Matt, it, there's not really, if I'm at 20, I don't know, say 26, and there's a player that we feel that one we can add that is going to add some benefit to our team and make us better, we don't just cap our roster and not include that player, right? But we're not going to just be looking to build 30, 35, 40 person teams.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Well, besides roster size of players, there's also roster size of staff. So tell me more about your staff. How many? What roles do they play? What other maybe support staff in the athletic department help out with the team? What's that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I have an unbelievable gifted staff. Hannah and Zach have now been with me for 2 years, going on about to start three. But just philosophies are the same. The way we manage ourselves, the way we manage our team, the way we manage our players, the relationships we try to build are all the same. So it makes working with those guys extremely easy. And I honestly consider myself lucky to have them. You know, Besides, Zach and Hannah, I mean, we certainly will have our athletic trainer. Alison has been now with me for, oh my gosh, maybe 10, 12 seasons, as our athletic trainer. We have a strength coach that, now Tony, that works with us, that, basically does everything for them, really, in terms of just their overall strength, conditioning, and everything without the ball is what he does, and we do everything with the ball. We have access to Lindsay, who's our sports dietitian, so she helps us with, from a nutritional standpoint. We now work with a mental performance coach, which I think is a massively key component in any sport. So we're fortunate to have that. And, we have obviously our own academic person that manages our team. And then just an sundry. I mean, I honestly, I consider every single person that touches a part of our program as a support staff, so even, our grounds guy, I consider him a part of our support staff, right? Because that's a crucial component in terms of the way we want to play and the surfaces that we have to play on. So, and of course you have, oh my gosh, we have our student assistants, right? We don't really call them managers because they're not just that. They do a lot of different things for us. And so those guys, help to relieve some of the things that we as an immediate coach and staff would have had to do so we can actually spend more time focusing on our players and and the tactical things that we need to get done or how we need to prepare the team.
Okay, awesome. Well, now I got to train the guns on you though, as the head man there. How would you describe kind of your style of coaching and the style of play you're looking to implement there?
Well, originally I'm from Jamaica, so we kind of chill every time we can. So the game is played more, our game is more played with intelligence than it is with physical abilities. Now, with that being said, do we consider the physical component a big piece of it? Absolutely, and we train it every single day. But for us, it's more about a possession-based type of soccer that we play. Our philosophy here is, when we're in possession, we dominate the ball. When we're out of possession, we'll control the game, right? And so for us, it is about being able to keep possession off the ball, be able to, it's possess to progress to penetrate the product. That's our thing, right? We keep possession of the ball, we progress it up the field, we look for penetrating options, and then for every single attack, we want to produce something, whether that's a corner, an assist, a goal, something, but it's just a scoring chance, and then the opposite is true. When we lose the ball, it is about counter pressing immediately if we can. If we can't, we're going to be able to channel the play, communicate effectively, and once we win it, we counterattack, right? And so that's kind of the cycles that we go through, and there's a transitional piece to all of this, right? In terms of how do we transition offensively, how do we transition defensively? So we kind of build that in the way we want to play and how we want to play. And then we're fortunate at the collegiate level to be able to decide how we want to play and then find the players that kind of fit that, right? So that's really our style of play in terms of and our philosophy of playing in terms of just um how how I teach. I like kids to find their own solutions, so it's we always strive, not always, we don't always get there, but we strive to make things player led than coach fed, right? And so, a lot of it is, we want them to lead themselves off the field, but we also want them to lead themselves on the field. So it is about the decision making, and it is about recognizing certain cues that will help them make the best decision individually, which allows the team now to know that, oh, I would make that decision in that moment, so that's most likely what she's going to do, which is that means now this is what I need to do. I'm not even quite sure if that makes any sense to you. um but but yeah, so it's a big piece of it is about decision making with and without the ball. And so we spend a lot of time when we train in creating those environments where we're constantly asking questions, guiding questions, right, to of our players as to, how could this decision have been better? Or what did you see that made you make this decision? And if we know what's in their head, we can also help them to change that and bring more awareness to something that was maybe a better solution in the moment.
No, absolutely love it, Coach. No, it makes a lot of sense. Well, Coach, you've been super generous with your time. Really appreciate it. I got one last question for you.
Absolutely.
Um, for anybody that's going through this college soccer recruiting process, if you could boil down one nugget, one piece of information that you would hope they would all have, that they should all know, what do you think that should be?
That's a good question because there's so many and there's not one thing. Um, I would say probably this concept of leveling up. At least I don't know, I just made that term up because I couldn't think of anything else to really wrap it around. but essentially the concept is, you know, you're trying to get recruited, and you're trying to get recruited at what hopefully will be your dream school, and a big piece of that is how you prepare, right? And that preparation has to now be at the next level, because like we tell our kids all the time, whatever you did to get there, wherever there is not enough to keep you there, right? And so basically this idea of leveling up is, maybe I would just, go to practice 3 times a day. Well, I'm now getting ready to go into a college environment or to be seen. So now maybe I have to be more intentional with my training. Maybe it's got to be 5 days. Maybe I didn't care about my nutrition. Well, now I'm going to have to start leveling up on that and start fueling better, because if I'm not fueled properly, I won't perform properly. If I don't perform properly, I won't be recruited by my dream school, right? And so there's this idea of recognizing that you have to continue to grow and you have to continue to get to the next level so that you're preparing yourself. Because as college coaches, I would say all of us, I wouldn't even say some, I would say all of us can recognize a player that's a good player, but a player that's a committed player, like a committed player to her craft. And you see it in players because they will, we've gone out and we watched a kid and our team lost 4-0. They just had a bad day. And literally it was a fantastic day to recruit her, because we saw where she would pick her team up despite being down 4, and not only pick them up verbally, but pick them up, just she's still crunching tackles, and she's, and you go, okay, this is a kid now that now she's leveling up, because she's going to need to do that at a collegiate level. You're going to run into a buzzsaw every now and then, right? And that doesn't mean you just lay down and die. You have to be able to fight. So I think just this idea of knowing that if you're going to get to the next level, then you have to be leveling up to get to that level. And I think that concept should hold true if you're in college now looking to go to pro. Does that make sense? Or even college to semi-pro and semi-pro to pro, And even when you get to the pro level, you still have to level up, because everybody there, guess what? They're at the same level as you, right? So I think maybe this concept of leveling up, if there's such a thing as the one thing, because I think there's so many things, I think this one may be able to resonate with most kids, because I honestly think, most importantly, leveling up is in every one of those kids' control. Nobody else, they can all do that, right? And so I think that makes it something that's easy to do. Well, it's easy to say, but will probably take some discipline and some courage, right, to do.
Yeah, no, I think it's great advice. Well, Coach, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Wish you the best of luck in wrapping up your spring, and hopefully you guys can challenge for that conference title in the fall.
Absolutely. That's our plan. And who knows, man, maybe discover collegesoccer.com. That's a big part of it, right?
Well,
So we'll
maybe
see.
this will get you those couple players that are just the missing pieces, right? That's the plan.
Hey, you never know. You
You
never
know,
know. But listen, I appreciate take the time to chat with me and giving me this platform. And hopefully it has helped some people along the way.
absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Take
All
care.
right, thanks. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country, along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.